What's up, friends? Welcome to episode 329 of Color Magic Gaming Podcast, where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, and for 329 episodes, still got my main man, Brian Sonic. How's it going, man?
Going pretty well. Doing all the gaming and content creator relating things. Like which it's not which day this is. Like which video is this? Which piece of content this is?
For real. Hey, you know what? I got to tell you, side note, I just had the worst customer service experience earlier today. I dealt with somebody for 48 minutes. I know so because my phone was keeping the timer. Literally, they weren't. I was like, here's the problem. And they can't want to go to this other thing. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the issue. And we did that for so long. And I was like, hey, look, I'm just going to handle this on my own. Literally solved the problem in 2 minutes after I hung up. I was so frustrated. I was like, man, sometimes it's that way. But all right, man, we got a lot to cover on this episode because I'm looking at our run sheet and we have a billion things. There's video game stuff, there's magic stuff, there's new cool stuff from other shows. There's like a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today. So it's going to be a little bit of a wild ride. But before we get into everything, don't forget you can support us at Patreon if you go to patreon.com/colorofmagic. Really appreciate you. It helps so much. But also, if you want to get a little something for yourself, I believe we only have 2 slots left. I'm going to double check this before I tell everybody because I looked yesterday and there were 2. Yeah, looks like it's still 2. All right. So the first couple of y'all that go in and get this, you're going to be the last ones, at least for now, to get this free $5 from our sponsor, Manapools. Manapool.com/promo/color of magic. Even if you don't get there, if you miss out on the free $5, go check out the site. It's actually very good. If you use, we'll call it the other marketplace where people go buy all their magic stuff. This one's like that, but better. It's a cleaner UI. Like it has a much nicer integration for when you load decks and finding you the right deals and everything else. Like go check it out. Totally worth it. It's manapool.com/promo/color of magic. But yeah, we were kind of talking off the air, deciding what we wanted to lead with this week. And I realized we kind of touched on a few things a few episodes ago about kind of this whole 2026 year of Magic releases. And now we have at least a little more information. Now that we've seen some stuff about The Hobbit, we've seen a little bit about superheroes, and kind of wanted to just discuss like how we feel about the rest of the year. Because we already kind of looked and said, hey, there's really no bad sets this year, right? Because the last couple of years, there was at least like Karlov Manor, there was like Ether Drift. Like, we don't have one of those on this calendar. Arguably, the weakest one is probably Ninja Turtles, and it still did pretty well. So, what do we think the rest of this year is going to look like, right? Because like I said, I still have a little bit of tinfoil hat that they were okay moving Ninja Turtles to 2026 because you want to make the numbers look okay compared to 2025 with a couple of your big releases. But I don't know how much they're going to need it or not. We seem to be selling everything Magic is just selling like gangbusters. But to start with, right, we saw Lorwyn, and that did very well. Not a surprise to anybody, right? We all knew that was going to do well, and hell, to the point that they're still writing social media promos with what's Queen and Crag or whatever.
Yeah, they got to keep them.
Yeah, if they can make a deal to get to keep using those puppets at least through the year, I think they should. Like, there's such easy engagement for people. And we're seeing more and more how much people still love the Jim Henson style Muppets, right?
Right.
But then we got Turtles, and people feel however they want, but it did do very well. And we saw a lot of engagement at MagicCon from Ninja Turtles fans. You know, like I said, I even saw a dude who had somebody made him a whole 3D deck box with that was the Ninja Turtle van and all that stuff. It was pretty wild. And there was a decent amount of attention at the Ninja Turtle booth they had there as well. So that obviously did what they wanted it to do. And then we rolled into Strixhaven, which honestly, I thought it was going to do okay, but even that's done much better than anticipated. You know, where Wizards said this was the most attended pre release they've had since War of the Spark, which is kind of a surprise, honestly. Because if you'd
not to me as much because I think what's going to happen is for people that absolutely want no part of Universe and Beyond, they're just going to sit out until the next Universe and Within thing happens, and that, in theory, should spike their numbers.
Yeah, I don't think between that though, I would have if you would have given me that option between that and Lorwyn, I would assume Lorwyn would have been the bigger attended of the 2. But apparently, there's way more love for Strixhaven than I thought. So, good
And
on
let's say
them.
you're just really jonesing to play Universe and Within, and you hadn't had a chance to since Lorwyn. You're okay. Yeah, you're sitting there, you're chomping at the bit, ready to go.
That's fair. Now, I will say this, the difference being for me is there is also a better timing for Strixhaven, right? Because it's you get a little less in the month of January because people are paying off credit cards from Christmas and whatever. And you've kind of recovered from doing all that by the time you get to April, May, But also, it's around the time people getting some of their tax returns.
I was gonna say for people, that hopefully don't owe Uncle Sam in, that probably is more than anything what did it. Like, hey, that tax return money burning a hole in your pocket.
Yeah.
Just got paid.
So I think that's part of it too. And that I think makes a big difference. So yeah, that did very well. And now that we're coming off MagicCon Vegas, which was also a success, crazily, we now know a little bit more about The Hobbit. We know a little bit more about Marvel superheroes and Reality Fracture. Now, not so much about Star Trek yet, but that's still toward the end of the year.
And I
But
feel like you probably, I guess the obvious ones. You're getting Kirk, you're getting Khan, you're like it's Star Trek. I think you pretty much know which. It's obviously set up like, okay, these are the iconic characters for these shows.
yeah, and I think it's just going to be a matter of how deep they go on each series because they did say it covers the entirety of Star Trek. That's the only
Yeah.
thing we do know.
And
But
definitely for Spider-Man, they had some deep cuts. So if that's any indication,
I mean, it's cool though because right, you might get some Klingons that have some kind of combat ability, right? You get Ferengis that care about treasure,
right?
like or
That's
whatever.
absolutely a thing I would imagine.
Yeah, that's the one thing I told them. I told people at Watson, I was like, look, when this set hits, if y'all don't have something for Ferengis to do with treasure, you missed an easy good joke that people would appreciate.
I'm assuming there's that and some car like a Ferengi without profit is no Ferengi at all.
Exactly, right? But yeah, so I think that one's gonna do well on its own, and and to some extent, Edge of Eternity's kind of prepped everybody for some space stuff, indirectly. So yeah, but I don't know. I think we're both in agreement that The Hobbit will not be as big as Lord of the Rings,
Yeah,
right?
that would be my guess.
Yeah, because I think historically, every single thing we've seen that's been Lord of the Rings and then followed up with some version of Hobbit something, The Hobbit's been generally like 70 to 80% as much as Lord of the Rings. It just doesn't make as much.
That's probably. I think that's also going to apply to that. I get Lord of the Rings prequel stuff that I think we're getting.
Yeah. And I think Lord of the Rings as a title just carries more weight. I think generally, even people that are on the fringes of nerddom go like, "Oh, I know what a Lord of the Rings is," right? But they don't necessarily all know about The Hobbit being the prequel or whatever to everything. And
Even
I
if you
think
know, you may not because there are people literally okay, who's your favorite character? Aragorn, Gimli. So yeah, you're not going to care as much about the Hobbit.
yeah, that's also true. I didn't really think about it in that regard. If you have favorites from Lord of the Rings, they just don't appear in The Hobbit. I mean, I guess unless it's Gollum or whatever.
Yeah, Gollum,
Yeah.
Gandalf, and
Yeah.
Bilbo would be.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of crossover. But yeah, so I do think that will still do well for them. I just don't think it's going to be, one of your top 5 all-time sets. I mean, I don't know, maybe it could be top 5 cuz right now you've got Final Fantasy, Lord of the Rings, Avatar. So I mean, yeah, I guess it could creep in
And
the
I
top
said
5.
all of the ones that have really I guess topped out have been magic stuff that obviously fits perfectly into a magic based universe. So maybe
Sure,
that happens.
maybe. And then we have Marvel superheroes, which everybody's going to feel however they feel about it, but it is coming. And we know for sure there's going to be another stone because they shared that one, the Mind Stone. So that's going to have a chase version and all that stuff. Still not doing a one of one, which I was crazily hoping they would do all the stones in the gauntlet as one of ones. Because man,
Yeah, it's kind of shocking.
yeah, the chaos that would have created to me would have been so cool. Because mostly, I just wanted to know for a social experiment, like what happens if somebody gets two of them, right? Now, are they trying to buy the other ones for people? Are people holding out trying to drive up the price because they know there's two different people with them trying to collect it? I'd have just been curious as a social experiment.
Do they send a Rocket Raccoon in to jack you for one of them?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So we're not going to get that, but I think the set's still going to do very well. I think because while Spider-Man, people look at Spider-Man, well, Spider-Man didn't. Yeah, okay. Spider-Man had a billion problems with it, but also Spider-Man went too deep for people who are just casual comic fans. Right? There's a lot like nobody. If you don't really read Spider-Man, you don't know nothing about Spiders Man.
Right.
You know what I mean? That wasn't a thing for most people. So that I get. But when you're talking about, okay, we're probably going to get all the usual suspects from the Avengers and everything else, like those are all characters that have big followings. And if we can get some alternate versions that have like sketch art or something or whatever, oh my god, the things we could do with this set?
Great.
Again,
And the thing they did learn between Spider-Man and Turtles is okay, it's so to just not have 75 copies of each turtle. We're gonna do like, hey, cards would have Leo and Raphael fighting back to back, and Michelangelo and Donatello. Okay,
yeah.
different versions of obviously the same four characters, but still different cards represent different aspects of these characters. So for the Avengers, yeah, there's a near infinite amount of combinations, pun intended.
Yeah, but you may not even have to do that many, right? Every character might just get two cards because you have so many things you can work with in this set. And I think that's going to work in their favor. Now, again, we had talked before previously about one of the important people at Wizard saying, "Oh, well, we think one of our sets this year is going to be our all-time best sellers, whatever." Like right now, I still don't see it. I think The Hobbit will do very well. I think Marvel superheroes will do very well. I don't think they're going to do Final Fantasy well. I think that's a
Reality fracture, maybe.
no. I think Rally
It
Factor
just
will be.
that's what's unfortunate is that we you feel like no, and I mean I'm not arguing too hard, but we feel like possibly the biggest set they've ever had, and we both think zero chance that it's an actual in-universe set.
Yeah, not
That's
even
the
close.
problem.
Not even close. Like, I mean, because right now, and this is the hard part to explain to people, Ninja Turtles, once it's all said and done, could end up being the fourth best selling Magic set ever. And it's still going to be higher than the best selling Magic set ever. Right? That's just the world we live in, whether people like it or not, unfortunately. So I think if it's going to be something, probably Marvel superheroes, and I don't think it's going to be it. If I was just taking bets, I'm still in the same camp. I think it probably
Somebody
will.
somewhere probably is with all the prediction markets and things we have now.
Yeah, probably. But I still think it potentially is the best selling set of the year and still isn't even close to Final Fantasy. It might finish like third. It might beat out like Avatar. I don't even know if it'll beat Lord of the Rings, honestly. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one, but I'm looking
It's
forward to it.
for what that license cost them. It's gonna be a serious disappointment if they don't beat Avatar.
You would think so, but I
Which
mean,
as much as I love Ang, that hadn't been that hadn't been what you would consider a hot property in what about 10, 15 years.
yeah, they were about to do this was their 20th anniversary, actually.
Yeah, so that they got new product on the way, new show, and a fighting game looks really good. But for what those licenses cost you, you're taking a bath if Marvel doesn't make more money than Avatar. I would imagine.
I don't know if taking a bath, but you definitely are going to be disappointed. You
Yeah,
would
in
definitely want more
comparison to
money than you're
what
getting. Yeah.
if I tell you, back before we even knew about, because I'm sure stuff has been in the works for years and years. If I tell you we got the Marvel license, and then you're going to tell me that possibly, hey, it might be the fifth or sixth best-selling set of all time, that's going to feel bad, man.
I think it's right now, if I had to put money, it's probably third or fourth. I don't know if you beat Lord of the Rings is the thing. Could beat
And that's
Avatar, but
that
that's
yeah.
probably the best you get, you know?
And again, for we won't know exactly what they paid, but it's almost like you. Hopefully, you make your money back if you don't beat out Avatar and Lord of the Rings.
I will say this, the one thing that helps them is it sounds like they got a package deal because
Also true. So
they're
they
getting to
got
make
multiple shots at this.
yeah, they get multiple sets, probably one each of the next couple years. So that probably, splitting the cost up over a few sets probably makes it feel okay. But yeah, I think it's still going to do well. Regard, I think there's a lot of cool stuff you can do, a lot of fun characters you can introduce. We won't know more about it till we get close to release season for it, which is still several months away. But cool that it's going to be there. I know some people are going to be like, "Ah, I don't want any of this stuff in my Magic or whatever," but it's working and bringing people in, man. And until people stop buying it, they're going to keep making it. I mean, there's really no way around it. But Reality Fracture, that does look very cool. And I think of all the sets, that's the one we might have seen the most of so far, where they showed some different alternate planeswalkers and kind of to help sell the vibe of like, hey, here's what we're doing. Jace is going crazy, making alternate reality versions of everybody or whatever. And seems kind of cool as a concept. I think people are going to be into it. It'd be interesting to see if people that are fans of, say, Chandra want the blue Chandra as well as the red Chandra. You know, the packaging and the way I understand it sounds like there's going to be some number of alternate version of things in the packs with their regular version of the thing, which is going to be kind of cool. So I think it has a lot going for it. It'll probably be the best selling Magic set of the year in universe, which is great. If you can keep having your best selling set, especially, we're just talking about Strixhaven being so big. And if you can eclipse Strixhaven, 8 months later or whatever, awesome. Right? Or I guess 5 months later. Like, seems cool. I don't
That
have a
same thing like Marvel. I'm gonna be upset if Reality Fracture doesn't do better because again we see Jace probably turning full heel, multiversal shenanigans. We're going big from a narrative standpoint.
yeah, and I think one of the selling points is a lot of your favorite characters are going to be there,
Yeah,
right?
and
A lot
again,
of
they've said it's the thing people have asked for years.
oh, I've been on that train. I've literally been like, Jace just needs to be the big bad at this point because he's as corrupt as anybody.
I mean,
And
talking about just in terms of like doing a kind of what if or multiverse style set is the thing they said people have been asking for forever.
yeah, well, because the last time we did it was hell at this point, 28 years ago with
Right?
Future Sight.
So
Yeah,
there are plenty of people who have never experienced one of those sets. Probably the majority of people at this point have never experienced a set
oh
like
yeah,
that.
definitely not. So
Because, like
this
you
will
said,
be
so many of the
fun.
people because of Universe and Beyond, these are brand new people.
Yeah, so I think the rest of the year still looks great. I think there's some people who doubt some things or whatever, but in reality, I don't see a real weak spot. You know, but I think we still have to keep perspective because again, I have no doubt we'll get to the end of the year, or beginning of next year, and the yearly numbers will come out, and people will see, oh well, Wizards only did, let's say 1.2 billion or whatever, and it's down from 1.3. That's it. See, I told you. There's like no, like 2025 was just an absurd year. You had your two of your three best selling Magic sets came out in 2025 with Final Fantasy and Avatar. Like, of course, the numbers are going to be bloated and crazy. Now, granted, everything else is selling like gangbusters, so maybe just selling all this other stuff, selling the secret layer, saying whatever, just makes up enough of the gap at the rate things are going. But we'll see. But anyway, that's the Magic outlook. So we could just kind of reset now that we know a little bit more information. And we'll come back to this, obviously, as we find out more about The Hobbit, eventually more about Marvel superheroes. But we're going to go ahead and move on. And I have a little beef this week with the Magic Arena team. Now, they're doing a series on the Magic the Gathering Arena YouTube channel called Creator Versus. which in concept is a cool idea. You get some different creators and you do a little mini tournament, usually with just like 4 people, and you get 4 or 5 videos out of it of them playing each other. And the editing's really cool because they interlace the each person's video. They all each record themselves playing the match, but then it's kind of you get cuts to the other person and what they're thinking or whatever. And it's kind of a cool little like viewing experience. Something you don't see a lot of, which I think is very neat. But this time it was a bit weird because they chose 4 creators that, as far as I can tell, don't really make arena content. Now, they're fairly well-known personalities in Magic, and but they mostly do other stuff. So I thought that was an odd choice when I saw the names. And so far, between the views and what I could find on social aggregators and stuff, like it kind of bears out that this wasn't a great idea. Their highest viewed video of the 4 is only 5.5K views. Neither of the others have reached over 3,000 views, which for any of the larger, even to some extent mid-size Magic Arena creators, that's below average view counts for videos, myself included. The thing that's weird though is they already have a relationship with several of the big Magic creators where you're talking about or arena creators, right? We're talking about CGB and Legend VD and Ash Lizzle and what else do they have on a Numot the Nummy. These are people they pay to do videos on there regularly. So I'm not sure, other than just saying, hey, we want to try to draw people to arena, maybe, and we're just gonna go
Yeah,
get
that's
these
a
people.
possibility. It's like they say, like, "Hey, these people aren't engaged with the arena. Let's specifically talk to these creators and see if we can get some of their audience in here."
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring was the idea. However, it looks like it did not work. That
Well,
is
I
a
mean, we won't. They're not going to tell us the numbers, though, right?
well, we can see the views.
I mean, if they wanted, like, I don't know who, like, name one of the creators,
What do you mean? Oh, like
like, name one of the people that they used because I haven't seen the videos yet.
it's like Maldhound, um, Talia the Vass.
So, okay, yeah, if your job is to convert 500 of Talia's viewers, they're not going to tell us if they did that. They'll know, but we won't know.
Oh, with though I would almost guarantee with only one of them barely even has 2,000 views. I don't think that 500 of those came from her audience. That would be, I mean, if it did, amazing, but just knowing how YouTube views work and whatever, like I that doesn't seem very likely. And again, I don't think this is a fault of the creators. I don't think anything they did was wrong. I don't think their presentation was bad. I just think it's weird in some ways that even if you want to just bring more viewers to their channel, there's still a whole list of other Magic Arena creators you could have brought in and definitely would have got you more than 5,000 views on a video.
Yeah, so that clearly isn't the goal.
Yeah, it's got to
There's
not
something
be.
there. There's a target they're shooting for that we don't know about.
I agree. And nothing wrong with taking a shot. Like, you got to try to know if it works. Right. But even if the goal was to bring in more bodies, if you don't even hit an average view count, that means because what that number means is most of those viewers were probably already viewers or subscribers of the Magic Arena channel. So the percentage of new viewers is probably pretty low. And, like I said, looking at aggregators like Social Blade and whatever, it doesn't look like there was any significant new subscribers or anything else to the channel from the time period of these videos.
And what do we always say? To get anybody to take action, they need to see it about 6 or 7 times. We see that when we're trying to sell people things. Like
Oh, sure.
the first video may not do it. You mention it 7, 8 more times, then you start seeing some movements. This is
Yep.
for a lot of these people, probably the first time.
Yeah, but you got to get them there in the first place, and this did not do that, which is tough because I also don't want the thing that happens with corporate sometimes is where you take a chance on a thing and then that iteration didn't really work. So then they're like, well, we should never do this again. You know what I mean? And then you don't get the creator versus series at all. Right. Like, and it was like, I hope that doesn't happen. because they brought it back. They did it previously, and it seemed like it did pretty well, and they wanted to run it again. But yeah, this time I just don't think it hit the same. So I'm hoping they at least go, "Hey, we tried a thing, didn't hit the way we were hoping, but let's run it back again in a few months. Let's try a different approach with different creators or whatever." Because I like the idea,
Yeah.
and I also think it's nice to have either Magic Official or Magic Arena go ahead and give up a little money to the creators and say, "Hey, here's a little money, do a video for us, help us draw some people to our stuff." Love that. The money goes back into the community and people get rewarded for it. So yeah, like I said, nothing to hate on the creators. This is more about just observing the approach. And some of this also comes back to when I work with other creators that are trying to make content. There's always this idea of how do I convert my viewers, say from TikTok to YouTube or from YouTube to Twitch or whatever. And more often than not, we're saying don't worry about that, just meet them where they are. Because there are people who just they'd rather just watch Twitch. They don't want to watch YouTube videos. Right? There's people that even for short form, they'd rather watch YouTube shorts, they don't want to watch TikTok. Right? It's just
Yeah, brand loyalty is a whole other sort of you could go die forever.
yep. That's just how people are. And some of it
People
has
many
to
times
do
will watch they may use what in many ways is a product that isn't necessarily as good, but it's the thing like it's the soda they drink, you know.
yeah, but it's also some of it fits certain people's lifestyles. Some hell, sometimes depending on what country they live, they get better service or can't even get to some websites. And that affects stuff. So trying to
Or maybe maybe you like somebody's content, but you have vowed to end Jeff Bezos's tyrannical reign, so you don't watch Twitch.
also
There's
true.
that.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. And I think this sort of falls in that bucket of, some of these people have Twitch followings where they live stream like commander games and stuff and whatever. And those people aren't necessarily they just don't want to play arena, right? They're not interested in it or whatever. They also watch on Twitch. They're not watching on YouTube. So it's just tough sometimes. It's like you want that conversion, but man, it is difficult to get help. There's people had trouble even just getting someone from a YouTube short to a YouTube long form video.
Truth.
I mean,
Truth.
and they're on the same platform.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. So yeah, and I think this is just one of those lessons. You tried a thing, good for trying something new. It just didn't hit, but that's all right.
Well, and again, we don't know exactly what the goal was, so we don't necessarily know
Oh,
whether it hit
I
or
get
not.
what you're saying, but I'm still in the camp of looking at these numbers. No goal was hit. Like I feel confident saying that. Like these numbers are so low compared to everything they do that I'd be stunned if they hit any goals, honestly. But that's my piece. You have something else that sounds like people are just kind of weird right now?
Yeah. I wish I could say I was surprised, but we got a trailer for the upcoming Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls tag team fighter game. And the two new characters revealed were Hulk, and we obviously knew Hulk was going to be in there, and Black Panther, and some of the people you would expect are losing their mind because the Black Panther in the game is Shuri and not T'Challa. But Shuri is currently the Black Panther in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where we're getting ready to launch a huge movie Christmas season. So, of course, they were going to put over whoever was currently wearing the Black Panther costume. This absolutely should not shock you.
Hasn't even in some of the animated stuff they've converted to it being Shuri as well?
Yeah,
Like,
comic book Shuri has been the Black Panther before. This
yeah.
is they have shown in the movie the whole situation of where anybody with the right can challenge to become the Black Panther. It switches from time to time. So this is, and again, we have already seen it be Shuri in the movie and the comic books. So there is nothing that is really weird about this, unless of course you just don't want a woman to be the Black Panther, which is what I feel or is most of this is coming from.
Yeah, because I feel like until we get to Doomsday or whatever, if they introduce another Black Panther, fine, that'll be the new one. But I'd assume until then, anything Marvel does that's trying to promote Marvel things, you're probably just going to make the version that the current fandom knows.
And if you really are that upset about it, I promise you there'll be a T'Challa skin you can get for $6 or $7 here, not that far down the line. All of this
Yeah,
is
you're not wrong because that's an easy sell.
yeah, all of this has happened before. All of this will happen again from a marketing standpoint. This is how they reach into your pockets.
Yeah, because they could just do a classic pack of skins where it's like
Right?
you get 90s versions of Wolverine or whatever with the
Yeah,
yellow and blue or whatever. So yeah, I could
all of
see it.
this is happening.
Yeah, that's a dumb thing for people to be upset about. Because again, it's what makes sense with the current Marvel promotion. Why would you
By the way, Black
expect
Panther's
anything
a
else?
character most of you or most of the odds knew nothing about until the Black Panther movie.
Also true.
I ain't trying to gatekeep, but seriously, you people complain, by all means, share your favorite T'Challa story with me. Most of y'all ain't got one.
Yeah, especially classic stories from comics and stuff. I bet you a lot of people don't know those.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just people being dumb. Why do people have to be so weird about dumb things, man? Because this isn't even
We
a
know
thing to be
why.
bothered by.
They don't want even fictional women to get ahead.
I guess so. Because like I'm just literally thinking like this doesn't even move the meter for me on remotely being an issue. Like
Yeah.
on a
People,
10
if
point
you're willing,
scale, I don't even know if I'd give it a one. Like
right.
that's how unbothered I am.
If you are really willing to boycott what looks like a very enjoyable fighting game over this, that's a you thing. Enjoy,
You know
enjoy
what
not
though?
having fun.
I feel there's a lot of people who claim to go boycott something that they didn't have any intention to interact with anyway.
Also true.
It's just let me find a thing that I can say I don't like. So now I have an excuse not to touch it and I can look like I'm doing something. The same people that also claim to boycott a thing and then within a month they're going back and doing the thing. It's like, man, boycott or don't. Like, let's not make excuses about a bunch of stuff.
Well, if all the people that claim to boycott the NFL for it being woke, we're actually doing that, and well,
That
we know they're
lasted
not.
what, a half a season for some people?
I don't think it ever happened because NFL's numbers have never stopped going off the charts. Everybody that was mad about Bad Bunny, highest rated Super Bowl halftime show ever. What?
Yep.
NFL's like that. That's exactly why we use Bad Bunny.
Yep.
Stay mad,
Exactly. And they're probably gonna do somebody else you don't like next year
right?
because it draws numbers.
Like I saw one comedian say, "Boy, if you hated Kendrick, wait till you see the NFL this year. No English, dog."
What was it? Josh Johnson did a set and he said all the NFL did was look and see how mad you were about Kendrick and said, we're gonna double down and I'm gonna raise you to no English.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, I think that's the one I saw.
And he's not wrong. It worked. So good on them.
Yep.
Well, all right, man. Let's talk about what we learned this week because I found out a thing that blows my mind, and I apparently should have known already. So I found out just before the show, even when we were looking for some stuff to talk about, that apparently a large chunk of the gaming community knew this fact that I didn't over a decade ago. But Batman Arkham Asylum was almost a rhythm game. Now, it kind of makes sense when you think about the timeline, because that was the time of like Guitar Hero
Yeah.
and Rock Band and everything else, which, my God, the number of peripherals that ended up in game stores after that, like whole trend went away, it was crazy. There were so many of those games. But yeah, apparently the whole idea was you were going to fight bad guys, I guess, on time to music or something or whatever, which sounds wild, but was almost a thing. The interesting thing though is at the end of the day, the game really became kind of a timing game anyway, as far as the combat goes. So it's
Yeah,
not.
I think this is like a kind of like a semantics thing because you absolutely do. It's a lot of you have to push certain buttons at certain times or you're going to get folded. In the same way how we talked about how a lot of, especially in the modern era, we have stories and career mode. The difference between a sports game and an RPG is not as much as what you think. You're
Oh yeah,
leveling up
yeah.
your strength, your charisma, your leadership, all the same, your speed. These are all the same things you would work on with, say, a D&D character. It's just the skin is different. You're just a running back instead of a rogue, you know?
Oh, dude, it's like they say, fantasy football is D&D for jocks. It's
Exactly.
you're assembling a team, you're following stats, the whole thing. So I
There's
get it.
much random number generation when the
Yeah.
games are played.
Yeah, I was just surprised by this because I think about, obviously a bunch changed after that decision was made to not go down that path. But thinking about how popular the franchise became, you know, the methods that you go through in the game, and you're able to go hunt stuff and go through all these weird passages and different things, wouldn't have made sense in a rhythm game. So obviously the right choice ended up getting made at the end of everything. But man, it just kind of goes to show you, when something is trending and it's that popular, everybody's looking to have a version of it.
Right.
Even Batman, with Guitar Hero or whatever. So yeah, that one kind of surprised me. It's very interesting though. But you apparently found out something else this week about some people's favorite games.
Yeah, Fortnite is going to continue to add everyone and everything. But this one is interesting because they're adding, what is essentially a direct competitor. The heroes of Overwatch are going to join Fortnite. Diva, Genji, Mercy, and Tracer will all be dropping onto the island. And again, Fortnite has added, seems like, every piece of pop culture they can get their hands on. This, I think, one of the biggest ones I've seen where this is again, Overwatch is still a thing. Adding Master Chief is one thing. It is, he's heroic, iconic, and I would say the franchise's best days are probably a few years behind. That's
Yeah,
almost like a Hall of Fame, or what's the
it's
lifetime
it's a
achievement award
tribute,
for Master
is what
Chief?
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Overwatch still relevant, still going toe to toe with Fortnite, but again, I guess they both figure, hey, our there's a huge crossover between our two fan bases, so let's go ahead and if we don't do this, we both lose money. All right.
yeah. Again, people like crossovers, whether we like it or not. Like, it's hard for these games to stay pure because there's money in it, right? Overwatch is going to make money from giving up their characters to be used in this other game, and Fortnite's going to make more money because people are going to go, "Oh, I can be this person now. I can
Right.
get this skin. I can do this type of attack," and people are probably going to hop on and play that probably hadn't played in months, because their favorite character from another game's in there.
Right. Cheers, love. The cavalry's here.
Yeah, everybody's winning in these crossover scenarios. It's just kind of how it is. But all right, let's talk about some topics. We have to run through quite a few pretty quickly, but there's some things to touch on here. I don't know if you remember the Heroes of the Realms prizes that they were doing at Wizards of the Coast. They did
Yeah, a
these.
little bit. It's
I want to say started in 2018 or so, but they basically, what it is they pick a team of people from within the company, and that team gets rewarded with a special magic card that only goes to that team, and they get like an oversized version that gets displayed and whatever. And this time they did a new one after not doing them, I believe, for the last 2 years, maybe three. There was a gap in there where they didn't have them, but we just got a new one, and it is Mr. Monopoly, which is pretty cool. And oddly, it's on a red Planeswalker type card, which I thought was very interesting. So I don't know what to make of that. Like, because I'm not sure I ever associated Mr. Monopoly with being red. But it's a thing that exists now, which is kind of cool. But it was neat though that it's even a thing that just, came back. And I think it's a fun way to reward the staff and the team for doing something really good for the company. Usually it's like you had a project that did really well, or you created a new thing, or you help drive so many sales or whatever the case is, right? There every team that's been picked has been for a different reason, but something that really helped the company out in some way and you get recognized, which I think is pretty cool, honestly. And as we've seen, these cards are also very expensive because there's a very limited number of them. I think the most might have been 10 for one of them that I've seen that's out there. And I've seen some sell for several $1,000s when they're actually available. Because the other problem is you can't sell them as a WotC employee until you leave the company. So even when they become available, there's like one available at a time, right?
Right.
And that's if the person doesn't decide to keep it when they leave the company. So
Yeah, because with
very, very,
something
very small.
that's small, such a small run,
Yeah,
definitely worth keeping, I would think.
very small. And I think if I remember right, this was for Monopoly Go. That team, I think, actually got it, which is
Okay.
why Mr. Monopoly's on there. Because some people are going to go,
Yeah.
why is Mr. Monopoly on the Magic card? I think that's why, honestly. Which is cool because we talked about it before. The fact that Monopoly Go made literally billions of dollars, still wild to me. I don't even
That's
know how
why
that's possible.
Mr. Monopoly is the GOAT.
I mean, apparently. I mean, I don't even have anything to say about it. Seems crazy to me, but you know what? Enough people enjoyed it. It just is what it is. But
I
yeah,
think people like as a brand enjoy Monopoly. The part they don't enjoy is the game the last 5 hours. And stuff like Monopoly Go gives you, that little dopamine Monopoly hit, but you're not, you can put your phone down at any time.
yeah, it does its job, man. Pretty crazy. But yeah, I thought that was just interesting to talk about. Friend of the show, Shivam Bhat, is the host of Casual Magic, also of Shivam and Wheeler Make Magic. So he's on two different shows, but he has decided that they're going to be wrapping up Casual Magic at episode 350, which I believe gives them a few more months to wrap stuff up. But he figured 350 is a nice round number. It's several years, of work that you can point to. And good for him, man. Just putting in a lot of work. 350 is a lot. I mean, hell, we're at 329, so we know how long that is,
Right.
practically weekly at this point. And yeah, I just thought it was good to give some recognition to somebody for putting in a lot of time because it's a lot of work. And he's even said they're doing better with the other podcasts. He's making more money with it. You know, this has become almost more of a labor of love. And when you need time back, sometimes you got to let stuff go. And
Right.
he's getting to call his shot, right? Getting to walk away when he wants, and almost like a an athlete doing a final tour as well, right? Everybody gets to see the end, gets to help celebrate it, as opposed to just like, hey, just so y'all know, this is our last episode, right? And catching everybody off guard. Yeah, so you had something you were talking about. There's some new Marvel characters. It sounds like they're coming to one of everybody's favorite shooters.
Yep. We thought we are getting Cyclops. We're just not getting Cyclops first. They usually do two characters a season, and what they've kind of been doing is, one that you would expect to be coming like Cyclops. Other one, the one we're getting first, actually Devil Dinosaur. So that one is a bit of a deeper cut, definitely. He does have a very good cartoon on I believe Disney Plus, and I guess I need Disney Channel 2 probably Moon, because he's often partnered with Moon Girl. She apparently
Yeah,
does his voice lines in the game, but I guess at this point doesn't actually appear in the game as a character. But she's cheering him on as he demolishes the scenery and eats everything and everyone in sight, as he often does.
that's kind of cool. Again, I like this approach where it's all right. If you're a deep cut Marvel fan, you'll know about Devil Dinosaur. But if you're a
Right.
casual fan, hey, there's still Cyclops. You know who that is.
Yep.
So that's kind of a neat idea. I think obviously I think Cyclops is going to do well. You know, especially with the power set and already having fans. But if you make
And Devil Dinosaur is the thing where, like, as you can imagine, it's, a 10, 11-foot T Rex. The hitbox is insane. So, what people are going to, and I think he does have an energy shield courtesy of Moon Girl that he can deploy, but still, you are 11 feet tall. Nobody with any kind of aim is ever going to miss you. So, it's going to be really fun to see how the good players are able to somehow mitigate that and still dominate the field, even though you're a character that's impossible to miss with a shot.
Oh yeah, because you'll be twice as tall as everybody else. Other bits here. Just a quick update that the Arena Laborers Union is going to vote for representation on June 2nd. So sounds like everything went the way they wanted as far as getting approvals and all not. Nothing's stopping that. So they are going to have a vote to decide both on if they need representation and how many people and all that stuff. So I guess everybody who's agreed to be part of the union will get to vote on that. So that's moving forward. And an interesting thing happened with Nintendo this past week where they announced a price hike up to $500, it looks like, on the Switch 2, and their stocks dropped 8% because just weird things can push things. Now, I will say this. Part of that's also because I think with the $500 price tag, that sales projections become lower, and that kind of gets people concerned. But I wonder if this is still overall related to just world economics of
Yeah.
processors, memory, fuel, whatever. And they just say, hey, for us to be profitable on these, like, we got to sell them for $500, which is
Plus,
a lot.
the people, obviously the people that wanted one, just had to be the first kid on their block to have one. Purchased it at launch, so you got that gap between them and hey, when people who just now you're the people who will eventually buy a Switch. That's who you got to sell it to.
Yeah, it's tough. I wouldn't be surprised if they look at sales projections or at least sales after a few months and there's a price cut. But I don't know. We just saw the price go up on PS5. There was just another price announcement that they went up to what 600 and some. So
Like you said, the economics of everything right now, and then of course Christmas, you're like liable to spend a little bit, like $100 more. It's like obviously it's still a pain, but in Christmas we're gonna spend more than what we're supposed to, and then be paying it back until until Strixhaven.
yeah, I just looked it up. The price of the PlayStation 5 is now 650, but I guess there's a all digital version that is 600, and then I guess you can get the pro version that's 900. Which at that point, I'm just starting to look at a PC. like, like you can get really nice machines that are around $900 to $1,000 now that you can also upgrade easier and all that. So like, I don't know, man. I'd have to really
But
look
Grand Theft
more.
Auto won't be on PC at launch, and everybody knows this now.
That's very true, and that's probably going to
So they
drive a
know
lot of
exactly what,
PlayStation 5 sales.
and they're also telling you like, hey, they know what they're doing. Software, because obviously they always sell the hardware at a loss. They make the money back on the software, and lo and behold, the biggest piece of software probably ever, barring something miraculous, is going to drop. It sounds like it's actually happening in November. So yeah, you can't play it on your PS4. So it's
Yeah,
just what that is.
and we all
You
agree it's
can't
going
play
to.
it on your Xbox One. If you want to play Grand Theft Auto, you can't play it on your Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, and it's going to be the biggest launch of the year by far.
Right.
Hell, it might be the biggest launch in the last 4 or 5 years. And I
Until
don't
I
know.
think you can play it on the Switch, I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, yeah, it's probably not going to be the same experience.
Right.
And yeah, I think we want to touch just on mood swings, right? Rosewater's game, because I got to do demos of the game at MagicCon. And I will say, everybody that walked away from the demos enjoyed it. Really fun, really simple. For anybody who's played Flux, the card game, because I think there's like 20 different versions of Flux or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, easily.
But the idea of you get to play a card unless the cards themselves change the rules or whatever. It's that style of game, right? It's very straightforward. You're scoring for cards on the table. All the cards have different points. You can end up removing people's cards. You can replay stuff, whatever. But again, the rule is basically play a card, but all the cards can change the rules. And the game's
So
played pretty
yeah, that
quick.
sounds very, very Flux inspired.
Yeah, and it was even 4-player games, I think took around 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. So not terrible, for 4 players. And 2-player games were real quick. They were like, hell, one of them I think was under 10 minutes, because just play a card, see what happens, add the score the round, right? So it was pretty quick. And I think that's a good thing. A little bit odd that we decided to, and I'm going to use this term lightly, tried to make it collectible of sorts, where I believe the final set of card has 130 cards in the whole set. It's either 130, 140, somewhere in that range. But each pack you buy will have 100, no, will have 45 cards in it. So technically you would have to buy multiples to get every single card, which is weird because there's no guarantee that if you bought like 3 of them you have all the cards because they're all random. So I don't know, very very weird packaging. I think they could have very well just made a full set and just said, "Hey, you buy this and it's whatever, $40,
Yeah, that would
$50,
seem
whatever."
to
Yeah. So that's a little weird and it's only going to be available at least at launch for the first version of it on June 1st, I believe, on Secret Layer. Which my first thought was like, wow, on Secret Layer, that's a little weird. But the other part of it is, assuming printing issues continue to be a thing at WotC, at least because they've already said through the end of the summer, just expect there's going to be problems. They probably couldn't print a large number for the first run anyway if they wanted to. You know what I mean? Like if they wanted to print 10,000 copies, they probably just couldn't. So there's probably going to be a couple thousand that get printed or available. You get them on Secret Layer. And the version I saw did say, I think it says something like first edition or limited edition or whatever on the card box. So it's possible that that's just the first one, and then they'll have a regular version. You know, who knows? Maybe around Christmas when they can get it to retailers and everything else. But yeah, it was cool. It uses kind of like black and white magic sketch art for a bunch of stuff, which is kind of cool. And there's a lot of fun things in there because every card is based around a mood, right? So it's like courage or one that's apathy that does nothing but just scores a couple points because it's apathy,
that's
right?
nice.
Yeah, so there's some fun stuff like that in there. But yeah, overall, I think it was a cool thing. It's the type of thing where people look and go, "This is what he worked on all this time." But you know, if you're working on Magic as your main game, this is probably just like a labor of
Absolutely.
love side project, and just the time was right for them to get to launch it. And that's got to be cool for him, right? Because his life has largely been dedicated to Magic. He hasn't gotten, because I mean, every game designer ever known has some concept in their head or idea for
Oh,
multiple other games.
absolutely.
Just you don't have the,
Every writer has, a script or a book idea that they still, hadn't gotten around to
yeah,
putting out there yet.
they just don't have the time and the resources for it a lot of the time, right? And this is a
And
case,
sometimes it takes, 9 or 10 years. Like you keep rewriting, rethinking. Like you
sure,
said, we've seen games like Flux have success because probably when he first conceived this, there maybe wasn't anything on the market quite like it. And a lot of times nobody wants to be first, but if something comes out and it's a hit, boy, everybody wants to be the next one.
that's also true. So yeah, if you can get a copy, I think it'll be cool. I thought it was very fun to play and demo. It's a good game to have in your bag. So if you want to just do something between rounds at a tournament, and you're like, we have like 12 minutes or so, whatever. Cool. You could break out mood swings, maybe even play 2 games before the next round starts, and then go on about your business, right? Or if you just want something to carry at conventions to do when you have downtime or whatever, it's going to be a good game for that. So I think people will really enjoy it. But on that note, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you when you're not doing this wonderful podcast, my friend?
All right, you can see me on YouTube over at Age of Wagers. I think I have a 12 and 1 run going right now
Nice.
on baseball.
Hopefully that fills your pocket a little bit. 12-1, that's a
Right.
good run.
Yep.
Yeah, you can find me as usual at PowrDragn, PowrDragn. And my goodness, there is so much stuff coming to the YouTube channel. And we should have our Vegas vlog recap in the next couple of days as well. So if you want to see what you missed, check that out. But as always, wherever you are watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves and your family. Remember to be awesome. And most importantly, with the state of the world right now, be awesome to each other.